Coach Jeff here, bringing you another metamorphic method to help you evolve. Today's method is a mobility and activation routine that will help combat the damaging effects from sitting too long. So we're gonna start first with some cat-cows. For the cat-cow, the knees are underneath your hips, your hands are underneath your shoulders. We're gonna go ahead and round the spine as big as we can, keeping the core tucked up in control. Now as you round, tuck your pelvis, relax your neck, and then take this into a big arch by reversing. So we arch the lower back, we pull the shoulder blades back together, and we look up nice and tall. Big deep breaths as you go through this movement. Now this movement, when done correctly, will help to bring fluid back to the vertebrae and the discs between the vertebrae. You see, when we're sitting, we put about 60% more pressure on your spine than we do while standing. So again, just trying to get some fluid on the spine as we work through these two ranges of motion. Completing about 5 to 10 repetitions. From here, we're gonna go into a hip opener. This one is called a fire hydrant for obvious reasons. We're gonna go ahead and kick one leg back up, squeeze the glute, we come around to the side and back down, doing about 5 to 10 repetitions each side. Again, keeping the core up in control, breathing throughout the movement. As we kick up, don't force lumbar extension, so back. Just kick up, squeeze the glute, around and down. Once you've done your 5 to 10 reps, go ahead and switch. And just make sure you match the number of repetitions that you did on the other side. Take big, deep breaths. Keep those arms nice and strong, kind of pushing the hands into the ground. All right, now with that fire hydrant, we're gonna kind of reverse the movement. So this time we're gonna go out to the side, around and down. Really working those abductors, the muscles that kind of push the hip and the leg away from the body. Again, going for about 5 to 10 reps. And when you switch, just make sure you match the number of reps on that other side. Again, pushing the knee out, around, and then down. All right. Now after those two mobility exercises, we're gonna move right into some activation exercises. This first one is our max effort plank. So as you're sitting for long periods of time, your core and your abdominal muscles will just get sleepy. They just stop working. So going through that max effort plank, the goal is to turn all of those muscles on. So we're gonna tuck the pelvis, and then we're gonna drive the arms in nice tight fist down toward the toes to create intensity. You should be driving so hard, tucking the pelvis and pushing those arms down toward your feet that you really feel your body start to shake as those abdominal muscles kick on. We're gonna hold this for a total of about 20 seconds. I've got about 10 seconds left here. Make sure you take big, deep breaths throughout the movement. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. Now right after the max effort plank, we're gonna turn into a side plank. Now the side plank is crucial to your body because it's really gonna help connect the abdominal strength through the hips and really protect the lower back in that sense. So for the side plank, we're gonna tuck one arm all the way underneath the shoulders. Feet are stacked on top of each other, and we're gonna go ahead and push those hips up, holding again for about 20 seconds. Spine is nice and stacked, one arm or shoulder overneath the other, with the neck nice and long. Holding again for about 20 seconds. I'm gonna go about 10 more. Keep driving those hips up Abs nice and tight, legs nice and tight as well. 5, 4, 3, 2, and bring it down. All right, now as you switch, you want to match the time that you did on that other side. In this case, it was 20 seconds for us. If you find the side plank is too difficult, maybe it bothers your shoulder, you could take the top leg, put it flat over the top, and then we're gonna bring those hips up and hold. Again, the more advanced version, just stacking the feet, holding for up to about 20 seconds. Big deep breaths through the movement, continuing to keep the spine long and hips up tall. I'm gonna hold for about 10 more. All right, after those side planks, we're gonna go and do a hip bridge and then a single leg hip bridge. Now the hip bridge is meant to activate the glutes, whereas the single hip bridge is meant to even out the hip extension on each side. So for the hip bridge, we tuck those feet underneath. We're gonna go ahead, hip bridge up, core nice and tight, down with control. Really squeeze the legs at the top, as the goal here is to activate those sleepy muscles that we've been sitting on. Now the reason that these activation and mobility drills are so important if you've been sitting for long periods of the day is because your muscles tend to kind of shut off. They get sleepy and they don't want to work. When they don't work, they force the skeleton to work, which can cause all sorts of hip and back pain. So imagine if you sat on your hand all day and then you tried to go write a note. That note would come out all funny as your hand would still partially be asleep and not really usable. All right, once you finish those repetitions of the hip bridge, moving into the single leg hip bridge. For the single leg hip bridge, bring one knee up, flex the toe toward the face. From here, we're gonna drive those hips up, keeping the hips even, and then down with control. Now you may notice the leg that's up, as you go up, that hip wants to dip down. Do not let that happen. Keep that nice and even at the top of that range of motion. Go for about 5 to 10 reps here, each side. Now when you switch sides, you may notice that one side was stronger than the other, or one side was able to push further into hip extension. That unilateral asymmetry, or the unevenness on each side, is what will cause hip and back pain. Because this means one side of your body is more capable of extending the hips as you stand up, or run, or walk up and down stairs, or pretty much any action. So that single leg hip bridge can really help even out both sides of the hip to make sure when you're going through your daily routine, you're not uneven. I hope you enjoyed those 5 exercises to help combat the negative effects of sitting too long.